Now we have the big boys. We are coming to the big boys and girls. Best director.
Best director.
Yeah. Another thing to note is that all of these are based in Nigeria. So I'm just saying. No mind me, but yeah. I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. It's the truth.
You should just change the Africa and just put Nigerian, whatever. It's from this point that the whole uproar that Chimete Imo was not nominated as Becca, so carries more weight.
Lights, camera, action.
So this is the next part of the video. It's still on the African Magic Viewers Choice Awards 2024, and I'm still here with Seyi Lasisi. So if you watched the first video, kudos. If you didn't, I would advise that you go and watch the first part and then come back so that you can, get some context on what exactly it is that we are talking about, because he has his bio and every other information that you will need about my guest. Okay, so let's get back into it. So let's move on to Best Writing in a TV Series. So for Best Writing in a TV Series, we have Skinny Girl in Transit, Season 7. We have Wura Season 2, Visa on Arrival, MTV Sugar Naija, Volume, Masquerades of Eniedo, and Slum King. Yeah, another thing to note is that all of these are based in Nigeria. So I'm just saying. No mind me, but yeah. I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. It's the truth.
They should just change the Africa and just put Nigerian, whatever.
US Choice Awards. I mean, I won't be mad if they were to change the name from African Movie Viewers Choice Awards to Nigerian Movie Video Viewers Choice Awards, because I personally think that even we have the AMAs, which I think they do better in terms of inclusivity, because we have other countries featuring in a lot, and we have a lot of other countries, hyping it a lot more, as opposed to, because even in Ghana, to be honest, the AMMAs is also hyped, and I think it was even hosted in Ghana. The last edition was hosted in Ghana, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, basically they try to create some, diversity, and it's a bit more inclusive. So not to say that the AMVCA does not do well, because it's also really prestigious when you hear of the AMVCs or you're nominated for an AMVCA in Ghana. So it's a big deal. But I feel like in terms of inclusivity, you can definitely do better. Those are just my thoughts. Those are just my thoughts. But then, what do you think of this particular category for best writing for TV series?
I think for me to be Masquerade of Eniedo.
Okay.
To be Masquerade of Eniedo. I could have leaned more towards Skinny Girl in Transit, but I think the second episode, second season that was nominated, did not cut it for me. Maybe, and the same thing applies to Wura too. I didn't mean it was the first part of Wura that was nominated, so I could have leaned more towards either of these two films because of what they represent. Because Wura, for example, represents this. I think it's often rare to see a TV series being led by a female character, and she was developed in a very nuanced way. You could see different identities attached to somebody like Wura. And for Skinny Girl in Transit, Tiwalade, the lead character, it was this female-focused storytelling too, and it was not just a story about maybe the normal cliche storyline of, hey, this person is looking for husband, this person is looking for this. It's a more nuanced, story. So, but I'll lean more towards Masquerade of Eniedo, and I hope it wins.
Okay, I mean, personally, I really do not watch TV series, so I'm the last person to ask about this particular category. Though I do know that in terms of popularity, Skinny Girl in Transit would definitely pick because where can we find this particular film? or where can we find the series? It's on YouTube, so I think it has more access. So in terms, and then also, and then also the very hilarious one, which is I think it's Visa on Arrival. But do you think there should be a disparity? We have a web series, and then we have the TV series.
I don't really know, because I think maybe to some extent, I think maybe it still cycles down to the thing about maybe economical consideration, faith and scaling the numbers of awards they do. So as opposed to 50, now it's 1 to 25. So we're going to merge as many as possible. I don't want to use the word, but that's the word coming to my head. As many as possible content aligns together. So TV series, web series, to some extent has this kinship with them. But for the platform, I don't think the platform really matter, because again, too, Omen is still maybe in film festival circuits, and some of all these other films are on streaming platforms. Some had limited theatrical distribution. So if we are saying maybe some of these nominated films for the TV series should have been on a singular, maybe Netflix, Showmax, it means we can also extend that argument to say maybe a film like Omen, these other films that were in film festival circuits, or just had limited theatrical distribution, so couldn't. So that's what I think.
Well, okay, but once you've categorized, or you've stated that the category is TV series, I think it should stick to being on TV, because no matter the platform it is on TV, that's, unless of course the argument is that nowadays people watch YouTube on TV, so it's also a TV series. However, I would say that YouTube is not regular TV, it's not cable, it's not regular TV. I feel like it has its own, like right now we have the resurgence of the YouTube films. That category cannot be in comparison to a film from Netflix. I think that if we are doing that comparison, it won't be fair, because they also have their own criteria, whereas the Netflix and the other platforms have their criteria. So I feel like it trickles down to this particular category. If you're telling me it's a TV series, why do I see Skinny Girl in Transit, whereas it's on YouTube? Unless, correct me if I'm wrong, it has aired on TV before. I personally have not seen it. Exactly. So I feel like in terms of merging categories, that particular thing, I don't think they should have merged. But then again, or maybe because they had just two, so they didn't want to just have them.
I feel like there's a lot to still be done when it comes to merging categories. I think even last year, for best actors nomination, the best actress now, Scarlett Gomez was nominated for Rura, and Rura is a TV series, and you had something, you had other movies were nominated, other actors that acted in movies were nominated, and there was this argument about merging these categories together, like it should be distinct. Okay, you are nominating best writing and you are nominating a particular series. The argument will be which particular episode are you nominating as opposed to, so each of this genre, or each of these quote unquote content have their own nuances, have their own differences to judge them. So I think they could do more better in that regard too.
You get to a point where we would have schemes or award schemes for particular genres of movie. So that way everybody feels like they are getting a piece of the pie, as opposed to being bundled up in one category. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get there soon. All right, because I mean, moving on to our next category, it really feeds into this particular argument, because we are going to best writing in a movie. So we have best writing TV series and we have best writing in a movie. So what you just said about people having an issue with the TV series actress being nominated as the best actress alongside people who are doing the movies. That's where the whole confusion comes in. Our next category is best writing in a movie, which is Breath of Life, Over the Bridge, Fumilayo Ransom-kuti, Jagun Jagun, The Warrior, and Afamefuna, A Tribe Called Judah, and Mame Wata.
Should I be truthful?
Yes, please.
I feel like you know my answer already. I feel like you know my answer already.
Mame Wata.
I feel like you know my answer already. I think the major issue I had with Mami Wata was Jasper's character. I feel like there was much that was left to the imagination for Jasper characters. Yeah, the film leaned more towards being metaphorical in passing its message. It's leaned so heavily on metaphor. It's leaned so much on visual cues in re-understanding who this character represent. Because for somebody like Jasper, it was the rosary on his neck that we could use to connect him to Christianity or to foreign religion, because he was in this place where they don't use those amulets on their neck. They had a different spiritual reality. So Mami was leaning more towards using visual cues, leaning more towards using metaphor. So, but for Jasper characters, Jasper's characters was not really developed. It was maybe until when you listen to a podcast or an interview that the director was talking about this character that you could connect what this character represents. So, but even despite this, I'm still definitely going to lean more towards Mami Wata for what it represents in that regard, in terms of Nollywood filmmakers, because again, the nomination is mostly Nollywood. It's that Nollywood filmmakers always have this obsession with trying to be political, trying to be historical, trying to pass so many messages at the same time. But Mami Wata was able to, and I think to some extent, Afamefuna were able to do those things. So that's all for me. I'll lean more towards Mami Wata for the right thing.
All right. Okay. Mami Wata wins it again. Then, I mean, if the AMVCs was up to Shay, I'm sure Mami Wata will be. By now, their hands are just full. They're just gathering all the awards like that. So now I just want to pick your brain on a particular category. So this is the Multichoice Talent Factory Academy film. And the Multichoice Talent Factory is it's more or less like an academy that has young filmmakers coming together, learning, and it's sponsored, a year sponsorship, depending on which academy you end up in, whether it's East Africa, West Africa, Southern Africa, or South Africa. These academies all train 20 individuals from various countries in that particular region on filmmaking. So it's like they are bringing out the next generation of filmmakers, and they also make films. And at the end of the year, their films are put on the African Magic Viewers Choice Awards. Oh, by the way, I'm an alumni, so that's how come I know so much about it. And last year, by this time, our film was also nominated. So initially, it was not a voted for category. So you know your film has been selected. Just know that, okay, the Academy is going to do the selection. But now they've opened it up for voting. What personally do you think about this particular development in terms of it being a student film?
I think at first, what it represents in terms of giving young filmmakers maybe their first project is actually really impressive, because I think I've gotten to understand that filmmaking is hell. Like, filmmaking is hell, and you really see people trust you with their money that you should film. So having an academy that does that for filmmakers, young filmmakers, is actually really impressive. And I think as a way, I think while I might want to say, it could have been left to the jury to decide, or to the academy to decide, I think maybe open it up for the audience to select. So might be a way of pushing the gospel of these filmmakers. So it makes more people interested in. So you have more filmmakers now, young filmmakers now more interested. Okay, I want to win the AMVCA for my particular film. So they do more marketing, they do more publicity for their film as opposed to just leaving it on the platform. So I think maybe that's why I might have to some extent possibly agree with what they're doing in this direction.
I agree with that point of view, because then again, it kind of introduced you to reality. I feel like once you're done with the Multichoice Talent Factory, you've made your film, and the reality on the ground is that people are having to solicit for votes to get their films, selected. And it's indeed the Viewers' Choice Awards. So if indeed you have made a film,
Yeah.
and you are going to go into this same industry, why not introduce you from the get-go as opposed to having the film being selected, and then a lot of controversies come out, especially maybe if your film is not selected, you then begin to think that, oh, it's because of favoritism or just unnecessary politics. I feel like once the voting comes in, it creates that whole perception that, did you push the film? Did you get your people to vote? And that's basically what the reality on the ground is. So that's a good one. Okay, so we are still on the nominations. And if you are still tuning in, thank you so much for still being here. And I'm here with Seyi Lasisi. He is a film critic. And if you watch from the beginning, you would already have listened to all the accolades. You know that he definitely knows what it is that he's doing. And I'm here with him speaking on the AMVCAs. And we are just throwing in our predictions for who is to win what come 11th of May 2024. So we are now moving on to another batch of categories. We'll start with the short film, best short film. So we have on the list Tegbon Taburo, we have Broken Mask, 18th Year, Man and Masquerade in a Place Called Forward. So I don't know if you've seen any of these films and what your thoughts are on them.
I've just seen Broken Mask. That's Cargo's film. I think I've seen the film twice at film festival, at two film festival. So because of the fact that I've just seen Cargo's film, I'll definitely want to lean more towards Cargo, which is a big demerit to other shortlisted nominated films.
Right. But then again, that's the film you've seen. So I guess that's the one that you can talk to. Personally, I've not seen any of them, so I can't really talk to that category either.
That's the thing about getting access to some of these films. You tend to, it will be practically impossible to speak to some of these films.
Best documentary. I don't know if you are conversant with them as well. We have Omoila Ogo, the strong one. I hope I got it right. We have Lobola, A Bride's True Prize. Then we have Empalikino, Forgiveness. Forgive me. The thing with the title of the documentary is Forgiveness. Please forgive me if I murdered the title. And we have The Water Manifesto, Oshun, Water for Gold. And then we have Sowing Hope. I don't know if you know any of these.
I've actually not seen any of the documentary, but actually feel like, but just to speak to documentary generally, I actually feel like it's actually nice that this section still exists, even if quite a large number of the audience might not really be enthusiastic about them. But I still feel like documentary filmmakers are actually doing a good job in the continent. The reason being that I think the African films that were shortlisted for the Oscars were documentaries. Bobby Wine's documentary and The Mother of All Lives documentary. So it speaks to the fact that we're actually doing something in the right direction in that regards.
I agree as well. And also, this was one thing that we used to talk about while I was at the Multichoice Talent Factory. We used to talk about the fact that some of us would like to actually go into documentaries. But when you look at all the channels on DSTV or Multichoice, basically, even though it is Multichoice, we do not necessarily have even a single channel that is dedicated to just documentaries. but they mentioned that it's something that they are looking forward to in the future. So hopefully, very soon we'll have Multichoice having a documentary channel for Africa, where we can also tune in and watch our favorite documentaries, just like we have the National Geo and all of that. If you want to just enjoy some documentaries, and also if you're a documentary filmmaker, it kind of gives you some, it's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, you can make the film and it actually have a platform. So that's just something I want to talk about in terms of the documentaries. Now we have the big boys. We are coming to the big, the big boys and girls. Yeah, so we have here for Best Supporting Actor, we have Alex Okubo for Afame Funa, Demola Adedoyin for Breath of Life, Itele Diakon for Jagun Jagun, and then we have Gregory Ojefua for This Is Life, Timini Egboson for A Tribe Called Judah, Levi Kere for Blood Vessel, and we have Roko Iwenla for Over the Bridge. Best Supporting Actor.
Okay. Not to preach too much gospel, but I'm definitely going for Adedoyin of the Breath of Life. It wasn't as if he had this very, very lengthy scenes, but in very few seconds, in very few minutes, and very few scenes, he was able to exhibit. He was able to give this impressive and memorable performances. And I think in that scene, he wasn't talking, he wasn't really talking, but his whole being was talking. The face, I think there's something about emoting. There's something about emoting with your face that most actors don't really understand. And I think there's something about grief too that we tend to think that grief is the presence of tears, that if somebody is aggrieved, then there must be tears gushing out. But what they doing in that particular scene, in this very, very tragic scene, he wasn't actively crying, but you could feel that the whole of his pain, the whole of his soul was immersed in this very tragic mood, in this very tense mood. And for those minutes, you could share in his pain. And that is what acting is supposed to do. It's supposed to make you forget that this is being acted. Like, this is actually real. So I think that's why I will lean more towards that. They're doing it for Breath of Life. And I hope he is going to win it. I really hope so.
And so a lot of people speaking on that particular performance as well, and how they feel that he should take it, because even if we are to do comparison to the number of people or the people who are, or his nominees, we're being honest and we are trying to create the disparity between their performances, I think he stands out. So that's another thing to note.
Sure.
Yeah. So we have Best Supporting Actress, Joke Silva for Over the Bridge, Fathia Williams for Jagun Jagun. We have Bimbo Akintola for The Black Book, Genevova Eume for Breath of Life, Eliane Umure for Omen. We have Tana Adelana for Ijogbon, and Ejiro Onojiafe for The Origin. Madam Koi Koi.
Okay. I was actually thinking it was a Lisa Ireti really was nominated for. And I don't know, but I think despite the fact that I did not really enjoy watching Genevieve's performance in A Breath of Life, I actually want to lean more towards her performance as opposed to the rest nominated actress.
All right, fair enough.
I don't know why. I actually feel that at least there's something in a performance as opposed to
the others, exactly. If it's a standalone, I personally would not pick it as a great performance, because she's a great actress by no doubt. But I just feel like I had seen that from her before. I feel like it wasn't something new that like kind of put me in like, oh my God, wow, I never knew she could do that. I knew she's good, or I knew she was good. So I just knew she would fit in the role. So she didn't wow me in that respect. Not to say she's not a good actress, but if I'm comparing with all the rest in the list, I would probably lean more towards it. So I really get what you mean. Okay, so we have best lead actor. We have Wale Ojo for Birth of Life, Stanze for Afemifuna. We have Mark Zinga for Omen, Gideon Okeke for Egun, David Ezekiel for Blood Vessel, Richard Mofedamijo for The Black Book, Ade Dimeji Latif for Jagun Jagun, and Gabriel Afolayan for This Is Lagos. A mouthful.
There's actually a struggle. There's actually a struggle because I'm like reflecting on most of the titles I've seen, and I'm trying to struggle with what was the difference that these actors did in terms of performance now that granted why they were nominated. I'm still struggling to really understand. And I think it's from this point that the whole uproar that Chimete Imo was not nominated as best actor carries more weight, because yes, his performance was not 100% great, but I think it was slightly better than that of Wale Ojo. And so I don't really see anything that great with RMB's performance. No shades to the veteran. He has been in the game for a while, but we are not, as regards to this, we are not talking about his whole career. We are talking about this particular fame. So because of that, and because of the fact that she may say, is not here, I want to lean more towards Breath of Life or Joe's performance.
I can't tell. I don't know what's like. To be honest, when I saw the list, I was like, is this showing, or is this really revealing? You know, where they say when the wind blows, you see the yes. So I'm just like, is this showing as the level of the acting qualities that we have in the industry now? Because we're supposed to be breaking a sweat and going like, guy, no, this person, no, is this one. So the fact that we have been talking about someone who was not even nominated in the first place, when I saw the arguments online, I was like, bro, like, what is going on? This is how many people are on the list? It's a lot of people on the list. So 1, 2, 3.
Why you are talking about those on the list?
So I was just like, are you trying to tell me that all these people did not really live up to that standard? And we are now even considering someone else who was not nominated. Is it that bad? You know, but yeah, I really hope it gets better. Which now leads me to Best Lead Actress. We have Segilola Ogidan for Over the Bridge, Lucy Dubé for Omen, Omawumi Dada for Asiri Ade, and we have Iretido for The Origin, Madame Koi Koi, Adaobi El Dibo for Blood Vessel, Evelyn Eli for Mami Water, and Kehinde Bankole for Adire, and Funke Akindele for A Tribe Called Judah. Yeah. So another one. Who are you tipping for? Who are you tipping for this award?
I don't know. It just shows that there were no really competitive performances that you could say, no, I'm going to die for this. And I think to some extent, when the Stars nomination out for the lead actress, you were dying for, should we select this lady Emma Stone here? Emma Stone and the Gladstone. You could. I was reading. I think I read 2 pieces that was explaining in detail their performance. This was more like a piece about their performance, a piece about their body movements. But you can't You can't even think of doing that with some of these nominated films or with some of these nominated act performances in this list. But be that as it may, I think for a first time, I want to nominate Ataobi for Blood Vessel. I think
Oh,
she might not
interesting.
win it, but I think
You think she should? I won't say he's a favorite, but I would say I like Kehinde Bankole as an actress. And I feel like in terms of being awarded, she hasn't really been, I don't think she has been given enough of her flowers. So I would go for her. And I think maybe that's more like a sentimental decision, not necessarily based on that particular film that she did Adire. But she did well in Adire. She embodied the character very well. So based on the background and then that film, I would give it to her. So I'll say Kehinde Bankole for me. So we'll now go down to the last two. Yeah. Oh wow, we are on the last two. So there are other nominations. I just want to put that out there that there are other nominations, but we didn't want to go into every single one of them. And now we move on to Best Director. So in the Best Director category, we have Moses Iwan for Blood Vessel. We have Adebayo Tijani and Tope Adebayo for Jagu Jagu. We have Bibi Sashiri for Breath of Life. We have John Scott Enna for Half Heaven. CJ Ferry Obasi for Mami Wata. Kayode Kasum for Afame Funa. And Tolu Ajayi for Over the Bridge. Best Director.
Best Director.
So,
I mean, when it comes to understanding the film's vision and an idea what the film is supposed to represent, definitely it would be CJ Obasi, because I think, and this is not in maybe recognition of the years it took to write the script and the challenges it took to produce the film, but it's also because again, so when you are thinking about the film, yes, these other background details are important, but they are not really, really important when it comes to what you are consuming on the screen. But I think that CJ Obasi knew what he was trying to do from day one, and he held on to that vision. And I think it just speaks to the fact that there was this, I think it's something related to what I said earlier, that there was this sense of unity in the direction when it comes to directing the costume, when it comes to directing, okay, we are going to use a monochrome shot, when it comes to the editing, when it comes to the sound design, you could see how CJ Obasi, and even when it comes to the accent, you could see how CJ Obasi was able to harness and direct each of these various departments into producing what you had. And I think another mention, another honorable mention I want to mention is DB Sassore's Breath of Life.
so let's get to the last nomination list right here. We have the best movie. Hey, so for the best movie, we have Fumilayo Ransom-kuti, we have Breath of Life, Over the Bridge, Blood Vessel, A Tribe Called Judah, The Black Book, and Mami Wata. So, who takes the birthday cake? who wins best film?
I think there was this thing that someone casually said that I think even for most of the places I've been saying Mami Wata, Mami Wata, Mami Wata, that I think there's this sense of the service that it does to what Mami Wata represents to not just Nigeria but to African cinema, that you are nominating a film of this scale with some of these very crafty, very not well written, very mid performances, and comparing them
It's
with
your words for me. Wow. I feel like a dagger is being. Wow, Shay.
I'm trying to do this of violence since we are about ending. You just be aggrieved at some point that yes, it's good that Sijobasi has maybe not really mainstream filmmaker is being nominated in some of these awards, and to some extent you have the hope that okay, since it's a jury selection, that the justice, whatever that word means, will be served. Yeah, but you can't tend to snub off the fact that Mami Water with some of these films, Mami Water with Jagun Dagun, Mami Water with Black Book, Mami Water with Professor, in the same list, like it just. But now to speak to my prediction, definitely the answer is to it's still Mami Water. Yeah.
I would say I can understand where it is you're coming from with that. And I also believe that once a particular work of art or artist, film, whatever it is, reaches a different dimension, it becomes a bit dicey when you are now having to compare with other things on the ground. For instance, even in the music scene now, we have terms being put side by side, some of the greats that we've always been listening. What are your thoughts?
I think I think there might be a level of unfairness that might be attached to that in terms of scale, because you are, for example, let's imagine that Sidio Basi won the Oscars for Best Director, and you are now placing Sidio Basi with some of these directors that are still trying to find their footing in terms of storytelling with somebody that has won the Oscars. Like it's a different conversation entirely, like very different, very different. So I could understand that, but again, too, I think it will also be unfair to say that because of the fact that somebody has maybe quote unquote grow beyond his industry, that you won't give him the recognition that they deserve. So because maybe, for example, let's say maybe because of example, somebody like MTF Young has grown beyond the industry, are we not going to say that we are not going to give him the flowers that he deserves? I think what's the flower. So it's tricky. So it's like in between the two.
But how about a special award? Yeah, these are just some of the things that run through my head. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that we should single them out, or we should just, and also viewers, if you are watching this and you have your own opinion or you have something to say, I mean, drop it in the comment section. Like, let's really talk about these things. These are things that come through my mind sometimes and gets me thinking as well. So for me, it's a bit dicey in the sense that I'm glad you brought up the fact that the Black lead social media handle and then the US Netflix Twitter handle, like first time they've ever posted any of our African content, or you said you don't like the word content, so I retract that. But any of our African films that are on the whether it's documentaries or whatnot on Netflix, because it hit number one. There was actually a week that it hits number one universally, and I'm talking about Black Book. And so that can be success in the sense that it gets him a best film. A Tribe Called Judah. This film did amazingly in the cinemas, but we can't take that away from it. We cannot take that away from the film because the audience, and if we are talking about viewers, people went their rewatch. How is it put? Rewatch factor.
Rewatch value.
Yes, thank you. The rewatch value of that film was on point. I'm telling you, because if I had a chance to even watch the film again, I would. And this I got not just from myself. I mean, I even did a video. I went with my friends to watch the film, and they like laughing, crying, the emotions, gripping. The film did what it needed to do. The audience loved it because they kept watching it, and look at it broke 1.2 billion naira. Do you understand? So someone can argue that based on that fact, that's the best film. It's the best film because people are watching it and want to watch it. And it's not Viewers' Choice Awards. At the end of the day, the viewers are the ones who go to the cinemas to watch. Abi, now we're talking about Mami Water as well. It has really broken records gone around. But you see, each of these films have their own path of success because you cannot take away the fact that the Black Book did what it needed to do. It's a streaming platform. It went on a streaming platform and it broke records on that streaming platform. Funke Akindele's film went in cinemas, broke records there. Then we have CJ Obasi's film that went to cinema, went to festival route, broke records there. So all of them are breaking records in their own way. Break here, everybody's breaking. So now I personally feel that that category, whoever wins that category deserves it, and that would now determine what the jury think or puts down as what success is. I saw the nominations posted on the Africa Magic Instagram page. I think when they put that particular category, I didn't see anybody. I only saw a handful of people, but I'll go back and check. But that was when it was fresh. I saw a handful of people write Black Book in the comment section. Handful. But the number of people who wrote A Tribe Called Judah and Breath of Life, I was actually surprised. People were like, have you watched Breath of Life? It's Breath of Life. So I realized that a lot of people online also have it in mind that Breath of Life was an amazing film. People are not even mentioning Mami Wata, and it's very interesting. So it just goes to show that the access that films are given is what will now determine how people decide that, okay, this film is good or it's not good. Because someone has not watched Mami Wata, it's not their fault, like you mentioned. So many factors. And unfortunately, if you don't have access to it, how then can I determine that this is the best film? So now that we've come to this part of, deciding which film deserves the best film or best movie, I now understand why it is a jury that is deciding. Because if we were left to the audience, it's really going to be a big headache. Finally, I know it's been a very long one, and thank you so much if you're still watching the video up to this point. I'll just like to ask Seyi, what would be your ideal African Magic Viewer Choice Awards? Give it to me in terms of category, in terms of like the impact of the award scheme.
I think I was about writing a piece when the nomination list came outside. About writing a piece trying to contextualize whatever it is that the nomination list represents. And I think one of the points I wanted to emphasize in the piece, which I'm going to emphasize now, is that I'm mindful of maybe you are apathetic to AMVCA because over time they keep reiterating that they don't understand what they are doing, or you are very, very passionate about whatever it is they were doing. I think unmindful of whatever categories you fall into is the fact that the AMVCA is here to stay. And either we like it or not, it is still going to represent what we use to judge cinematic excellence as far as Africa is concerned. That's the first one. And I think maybe secondly is to say that I think what we are looking for more is, I think one of the points we mentioned is inclusivity and diversity in terms of the countries being represented. It shouldn't be a one country thing. I know it's mostly being, maybe it is being held in one country, but it should represent the whole cinematic landscape of Africa. And I think maybe the last point I want to raise is that I think, okay, maybe a merit, a credit to them this year is placing some of these categories not to be non-voting categories that should be decided by a selected jury. So I think that's a step in the right direction. And aside from some of these other myths, some of these other snobs, some of these other technical details, I think we could, as we always say, we can always get better. We can really get better.
I agree. I would say that the AMVC is like the African Oscars, and it just goes to show that it is something that's recognized by not just Africans, hopefully not just Africans, because to be honest, I've not really had a conversation. No, oh, Shay, you are laughing. It's true. I've not really had a conversation with anybody outside of Africa on how they view maybe award schemes for film in Africa. So maybe it's something that I should look into. In terms of planning, in terms of execution, Multichoice have really done an amazing job. I've had a chance to be there in person twice, so I know the amount of production that goes into it, and I really appreciate the fact that they are always on time. They are on time. If they say they're starting at 7, it's 7. That's one thing that you cannot take from them, and I really appreciate that, and I hope that they still continue on that way, because there's this perception of Africans that we waste time, and it's something that I hope will change in the coming years. But when it comes to the MVCAs, don't play. They don't play with their time. And I love that. And also when you are giving your speech at maybe after winning, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And I really want to say, they give you a particular time, whoever you are. The moment you start, it becomes a long speech. They start playing the cue music. I don't know why I took this, but they start playing the cue music. They'll start playing the cue music. So I really appreciate that about them. And like you said, inclusivity would really be something that I would like to reiterate on. And I hope that becomes a big deal. Because, I mean, I can't really say for Ghana, because I feel that personally, as a country, we have not really gotten to a point where we are producing enough to state somewhere that, oh, we are not really being recognized. And I say this to say, this particular year is looking a bit different in terms of amazing productions that are coming out from different production houses, which I hope that next year would actually be among, be sitting with the big boys in West Africa and in Africa in general. But I just think that we still have a long way to go. But when it comes to this particular award, I was actually surprised that this film did not make it in. It's a Zambian film, the first ever Zambian film that made it on Netflix. I was very surprised. No, I won't lie. Honestly, when I saw that film, the first time I was like, okay, this film is definitely getting nominated for the AMVCAs. I did not even see one. I do not know if it was submitted. I am not really sure about that. I think what I'll need to do is to find out if it was submitted in the first place. But the fact that I didn't see anything from East Africa or Southern Africa, like for Zambia, for instance, that particular film, that is Can You See Us, was a beautiful film, very beautiful film. And I feel like it could have really been pushing a lot of these other films in various categories, because the music was amazing, cinematography, the editing style. Like, I feel like it could have really done a number, but then again, it was not nominated. But yeah, those are just basically our thoughts on the AMVCAs. And Shay, you've really been here. I feel like we've been talking for like the whole day. It's been a long one, and I appreciate you for staying on, and thank you so much for being here today. Guys, Seyi Lasisi is an amazing writer. He writes for Afrocritic, and he also does for In Nollywood every now and then, especially on his series of Old Nollywood, right? Yes, exactly. So yeah, you heard it in the beginning. So go and watch the bio again. That this guy is amazing, and honestly, I am so happy that I'm so happy that you made it today to be a part of this show. And guys, I would definitely link some of your articles in the description box, so you can go ahead and watch. And thank you so much for staying up until this point. So these are basically our thoughts on the AMVCAs. Thank you, Shay.
Thanks, Alice. It's a pleasure. Someone can understand the time constraint and stuff like that, but it's always a pleasure talking about Nollywood, talking about African cinema, because it's not just something you love, but it's something you're really, really passionate about. And it's just, even if you're talking for hours, you just like, oh, okay, maybe it's because I've not eaten. That's why I'm like, it's okay, maybe it's because I have something else to do, but it's always intriguing and immersive, like discussing African cinema. It just shows that, and some of these conversations are very, very important, because at the end of the day, they contribute to the growth of the industry at large. Because I think there was this particular day I was just like thinking in my head, what's the importance of this review that I used to write every day? What's the importance of this essays that I'm writing? For example, what's the importance of this conversation we are having as it's me? And it's just, and whenever I think about it, you just tend to, and it's always tricky, because we're like, okay, what's the overarching importance of the thing? And when you think about the fact that you're documenting the industry, when you think about the fact that you're providing context, you are providing insights, you're providing your view about some of these things, you tend to contribute to the growth of the film industry at large. So it's always a pleasure talking about it at the end of the day. So thanks, Alice, and thanks to everyone that has been listening.
Thank you too. I really appreciate this. And yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching up until this point. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. I'm sure you have your own thoughts about this AMVCAs and, the upcoming one for the 11th of May. I'm sure you have a lot of your own predictions. And if you don't agree with us, I mean, it doesn't matter. You can also share it in the comments. That's the whole point. We don't have to have the same thought process or the same thoughts about a particular thing. Feel free, guys. This is a very safe space. Share your thoughts. Let's argue it out. And who knows, you might also argue in a good way. You might also have your own thoughts, and it might also, bring out a new perspective that I did not even know, or she did not even know. So yeah, guys, I will see you in my next video. So keep it logged on this channel. You don't want to miss out on any of the content that we have coming back. From me in Accra, and from Shay in, I didn't even ask where you were, Shay.
Lagos, Nigeria.
Okay. All right. I mean, you're always moving up and down, so I can't really tell. Maybe you may have been in Kenya. I don't know. Well, from me in Accra, Ghana, and from she in
Lagos, Nigeria.
It is. Bye, guys, and see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.